All right, we're in the opening round of the Grand Parade tournament. I'm going to go out with my practice account and try and put in a round. There's still several of the holes. In the qualifying round, we got pretty good wind on all of the holes, but I'm sure that that's not going to hold up as we go along, especially the second, or the hole number 2, that par 3. We'll have to see. My elevation adjustment, going back and looking at them, it's a big elevation adjustment, so we'll have to see whether that plays out. But I'm just going to go out today and get some on video and play the hole. So let's go out and play hole number 1. And I'm going to take a Titan, and I don't know with this kind of headwind, whether I can get over there with a power 3 ball. I don't know that I can. I found out, so if we have tailwind, you can get it done with about 4.5 topspin. 4. Even with like a 2.5 mile-an-hour wind, you know, not a big wind. This one right here shouldn't be too bad. Maybe. It's still gonna kill that ball. So instead of 4, I'm gonna do 5.5. I don't know that I can even make it over there. It's not likely. It's not likely that I can make it over. I'd have to bring out a bigger ball, so let's just shoot it over to this area here, and we'll go out this way because I haven't actually seen what it looks like from this angle since they've changed the hole. 3.5, and I'm gonna do like a 4.2. I'm gonna go right back to the red line. That's what I'm gonna do. Need to put on my golf class glasses, my perfect glasses. See if I can actually clip that rough and get out. Yes, that's what happens when you hit the ball 70 rings to the right. I'm not sure what it looks like from over here. Before, I always thought that the second shot was, because you're coming down that hill, I actually didn't like the second shot. There is a rough bump, I think, at the top. We'll have to see what it looks like. If you got a power 4 or a power 5 ball, you can get this done. It actually, consistency-wise, you're probably better off bringing a power 5 ball every time and pulling back from the red line so that you can work wind out. And that way the shot's consistent from one round to the next. Because even a little bit of headwind will kill your forward momentum. Clipping the trees doesn't help. Yeah, there's men, so I'm at Men Club. I probably could do a rough bump from here. Maybe. I have no idea what kind of elevation I should be doing, or if I should be making any other adjustment other than just normal wind. I'm just going to do a normal wind adjustment. So it's 2.4 divided by 1.9. It's like 2.25 rings. Or excuse me, 1.25. See if I can hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. Just a bit outside. Over pulled it. Over pulled it. Dang it. Let's see here. In 1-2. I did 1.9 per ring, and I don't know why, because I normally play my short iron. Whatever I play at max, I play double that at min. And then the mid number's always kind of up for grabs. And I think that you should play whatever works on your club, because for years I had a level 8 Hornet, and I played it at 1.1, 1.9, 2.2, and I made a lot of shots with that. And I know that if you're looking at the app, or if you go to Golf Clash Notebook and you look at like what their ring numbers are, they do not recommend you use 1.9 at mid, but I did it for years and it worked out great for me. So if you're doing the numbers by hand and you're finding that you're not having a lot of success, especially at mid club, I don't know what I was thinking there. I should have did 2.0. That would have been a 1.2 pull instead of 1.25, and that little teeny bit. That little teeny bit. Was a lot. So there is a good shot up there from that rough bump. Is actually not that bad. Before, if you were on the rough, the pin was a lot farther away. And I'm not sure that I would want to do that rough bump, depending on how the wind was blowing. If I had to involve the sand, it might be a lot trickier. I'm not really sure I like that particular one where it's throwing the snowballs at me. Why do I have to put up with that crap? All right, here we go. Hole number 2. All right, take a deep breath. This wind, I am definitely not going to play. I've been working the shot. So I went back and watched the video, and I played this and I hit it perfect. Of course, yesterday when I made this big elevation adjustment, I didn't hit it perfect. I hit it to the right and I had plenty of room, but I went back and watched some video, and I always like to leave myself at least a couple rings off, and that's what I was doing, leaving myself 2 rings off of this transitional surface. And when I went back and watched the videos on the perfect shots, I mean, I like a blade of grass into the fairway. It almost pushed me into the rough, and I was doing like I started off, I was doing a 0. I was just doing a normal shot, and then I started upping it to try and pull me back out in the fairway. So yesterday I did a 72% adjustment. And it was super close, but I hit it to the right. But I do not want to have to pull my adjustment over this. So I guess it really depends on how high the wind is. Here in Rookie, we're not getting super high wind, but I am going to make a bigger adjustment. So if I'm only 2 rings off and the wind's, so it may have to involve the sand. So I'm going to take the shot from over here so that I can pull out into the fairway. So if I make an error, I'm making it, I have a better shot than when I'm pulling over the sand. If that makes any sense. If that makes any sense. And I'm going to bring, I think if I go from the right-hand side trying to bring it back, I probably will need a quasar. A quasar. And those balls that are for sale right now, the 255s, those are like thinking about like if you were only going to have a couple balls in each category, a 255 is actually a pretty good ball to have in your inventory. You may not always need the 5 side spin, but that gives you the full range. So let's do the wind, 4.8 times 1.72. Hey, 279. Max Club. I'm gonna do this big pull just to see if it even comes over to that thing. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 2 1/4, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm gonna lean a little bit to the right, or excuse me, the left. And this would be a better shot if I'm with a long iron that's got a little bit more backspin, so that because the more you pull it back with the backspin, if you're putting on left-hand side spin, the more it's going to go to the left. The more your tail is going to start to lean that way. So this might be a great hole for what is that, Grim Reaper? It's hard to tell because I put curl on it what the deal is on that shot. I wasn't even paying attention to it. I think I hit it great to the left. It almost hit the rough, So I must have hit it great to the left, and I did a 72% wind adjustment. So I did 4.8 times 1.72. That gave me 8.25. I don't think it used to play like that. Something's changed. I have to talk to my buddy Kyle who's playing, and I think Kyle dropped down from Masters and he's playing Expert right now, and see what kind of an adjustment he's doing on it. One of the benefits of recording your own video and having videos, you can go back and look at it, and you're like, you can start making, if you're hitting perfect, you can go back and look at it and you can start making adjustments and see where it's landing and see how it's affecting the ball. And you can do the reverse math. But the first time you get that one where you hit it perfect and it went in the hole, you can go back and look at it, because a lot of times I find that if I hit it perfect, it went in the hole, and I look at it and it's like, okay, I did everything I wanted to do, and that's what I wanted. And then sometimes I go back and look at it and go, wow, I made a bad adjustment there. And so then you can do the reverse math on what you did for the adjustment, and it'll tell you what you need to be doing. So maybe you thought you were supposed to be doing a 10 and you actually over pulled it, and you pulled it about a 15. So give you a little bit of heads up. I escaped that hole. That's the main thing on that hole, is don't fail. Don't fail. No, I can't remember the order of the par 5, so let me look at it real quick. All right. Now yesterday I didn't bring out, if you bring out a really big ball to try and get like way up in the front, because in the past, like my landing area, I always wanted to be right in that window. I wanted to be right there by that shadow from the lamppost, this lamppost right here. You can get a little bit forward, but what I found is that if I try and get forward, a lot of times I'd roll off in the rough, and that's not a place to be. You might be able to recover if you got a Nirvana. You might be able to catch it up here and then get it to come over, but it's a pretty tough shot that you don't really want to have to take. So I usually don't try and push the issue, and this is a great little window. But yesterday I hit it, I was more like up in this area to see if I brought out a bigger ball just to try and get like up in this area, somewhere up here, to see if it changed my angle to the cup where the new cup is at, and gave me a little bit different look at it. But it seemed just a little bit farther forward, seemed pretty good. And you can play this with a katana, but you do need to get, I don't know that you need to get all the way forward. I think it's the mid par 5, but you can still get into this area pretty easy. So I'm going to use a katana on it because I don't want to burn my meager inventory of Kingmakers. So I was trying to buy some stuff so I could get some gems in this account. And I can, on this device that I'm playing on right here, I can buy stuff in my 77 account, but it won't let me buy stuff in my auto. So I was trying to figure that out. And then I went to the convenience store the other day, and I know them down there. I go there every day, and they're friends. He's like, man, your card got rejected. And I was like, what the heck? I know there's money in the account. Run it again. So he runs it again, and he's like, oh, it's expired. So I was going to try and fix it so that I could buy something in this, but I called my bank and they were sending me another card. I don't know why they didn't pre-send me one, but I don't actually have a card right now, so I can't buy anything if I wanted to. Unless I put it on my credit card, and I really don't want to do that. Now, if you bring a bigger ball like my opponent's doing, you can really try and pound it, especially with an APOC, because it's got all that curl, and you can really try and pound it out there and get all the way up to the top. I suppose you could try and hit it forward and try and get it over to the other side, which is actually what my opponent, it looks like my opponent's trying to do. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody really try and do that before. I don't, and that's not, they got lucky they hit that rough where they did. Well, you're still going to have a great shot going to the cup, so don't get too pissed off about it. Why are you giving me the face? I didn't take that shot. Do I have an APOC in one of these bags? I do. and do about 4 topspin. So it's going to push me on that plane. And it's going to push me over to where my orange ring is at. So that would put me like up in this area right here. And that should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the wind in. Hitting it perfect. And I was trying to get farther forward like this so that I could see. You get used to one, and this is the same thing on a real golf course. You get used to, you have a pin, it's in one spot, and sometimes you want to come at it at a certain angle, because in that spot you're trying to achieve a certain thing, or you're coming at it so that you can avoid a sand trap and not put the sand trap in play when you're doing your chip up onto the green. And then they change the pin placement, and then you want to roll with the punches. You may adjust your shot. I really want to try and come at this hole so that I'm putting on left-hand side spin and coming from the bottom. The problem is that you can't get over far enough to really do that because you involve this hill right here. And you don't want to hit off of this hill face. You want to hit up on the flat. And I'm going to take off 10% of the wind. It's going to be close. 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 But no cigar. And I'm at mid club, but I'm going to do a max number. 4.5, 4.5. It's 4 point, maybe 4.1. I really like to get down here and try and bring it back up. If I can get lined up with the freaking grid. There's 4 and a little. Hitting it perfect. El Perfecto. It's going to come in hot. In the hole! And I almost overpulled it right there just doing the 4.1. It was supposed to be 4.05. Usually when it gets down to the hundredths like that, I usually don't like to mess around too much with that, because if you're trying to do like a, let's say you had a 3.86, you know, do you do the 9, or you try and get the, you know, you're trying to get that in between, and you'll usually end up screwing it up. So I usually will just round it. That was close, and it was in the hole. In the hole. Woo! Albatross. And that was a max number, and I was eking towards pretty close to minimum club there because I pulled it way back. I prefer to be farther back and kind of finesse it up as opposed to being up close and using backspin. The backspin shots, they look great when they go in, but I find it's a little, you get a little more consistency when you can just let it release and roll up to the cup. Hole number 4. What is hole number 4? All right. Oh, what did we do yesterday on hole number 4? It's a 1-for-1 minus 0.1. I'm going to bring a nav. Try and use the small balls. And as much room as we have there with the Katana being at minimum club, I could probably bring a freaking Quasar. It seems to me on this hole right here, and anybody else that has experienced this, leave a comment. It seems to me that they took this hole and they shrunk it down, because it seems to me that the distance, it's like the whole hole is shorter. Because it used to be when you were in this area right here, if you had a 3-power ball, you just barely had a window. And if you didn't quite get it right, or if you had a headwind, you may have a hard time pulling up against that window. If you got, or you were like more into this shadow right here, where instead of being like right here or right in front of it, but if you were in the front, you had a little bit of a window so that you could start back a couple rings off the transitional surface, and if you had a headwind, you could work it out with a 3 Powerball. But now you can be in this area with a 2 Powerball and you've got plenty of room. It seems like they've shrunk this hole up and that it doesn't hit as long as it did before. It's not as long as it was. But maybe that's just me, but it does feel like that. I was talking to Dunner about it yesterday, and he kind of felt that the hole was a little shorter too, or it was at least playing shorter. It looks exactly the same. It's just like they shrunk it. They shrunk the whole deal. Now, I didn't hit it perfect yesterday, and I just freaking missed it. Come on. Now, the wind here, one of the things that I always have an inconsistency problem on this hole is I don't like to pull over that sand. And so with the wind like it is right now, I will typically hit more on the side so that I can pull along the edge and not have to go over the sand. But depending on how the wind is, a lot of times I really like to hit up here in the front. So it's one of those deals where it's one of those holes that I can't come to and go, hey, I'm going to put on one backspin, and Dunner was putting on one left-hand side spin and one top spin, and then finding the spot. But I don't necessarily always want to hit from the same spot depending on how the wind is blowing. And my opponent is definitely going a dangerous route as far as I'm concerned. Perfect. Up towards the cup. Nice little putt. Nice putt. I'm going to do a 4-2 adjustment. There's 4-2. Now I just need to hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. See, that's the first... Let's see how close it'll get. Let's see how close. Didn't pull it enough. Maybe I'll try a 1-for-1 +1. I think in the past I've done a 10% on that, but I did a 10% the other day and I overpulled it. And the 1-for-1 -1 was Dunner's number, so I was trying those out to see. And yesterday I didn't hit it perfect, and it was super close, but couldn't get any read on if you don't hit it perfect. In the hole. In the hole. Fire in the hole. We were at the coast all last week, and I binge watched Justified. Anybody who's watched Justified, I think there's like 78 episodes in it, and I watched all 78 episodes last week. That's one of their deals. Fire in the hole. We dug coal together, which is one thing that I have never done, and I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. Have been in caves though. Lots of caves. All right, so we played this a couple different... I was actually in a really crappy spot yesterday. I blew my drive and was in the rough over here, and Dunner was up in the perfect spot, and he was doing a rough bump. But I think the rough bump does look good, but I'm going to do the bounce off the island and come over. Now here's the flagpole, and I definitely want to aim towards the left-hand edge. And I was doing a +10%. And I was aiming on the left-hand edge of the cup, because when it comes up on the green, it's still immediately, everything's flowing to the right. And so the first bounce, when it gets up on the green, it immediately starts going to the right. It takes, like, I don't necessarily know if it's an irregular bounce, but it starts moving off to the right real quick. And it's not so much that it's making some adjustment here that will help you, because that may not help you. It's just like where you're starting it off and then doing an adjustment for the wind, trying to get it in the cup. We'll see if I can get in the right spot today. And I believe I think I was in minimum short iron. The question is what ball to bring. We'll see which way the wind's blowing. I'm either going to bring a Titan or a Katana. Which way is the wind blowing? We got a headwind, so I'll bring a Titan. I want to start off on the other side. You can bounce over to the other side, but I want to start off on the other side. I need to actually make some notes. I have notes for the holes 1 through 4, but then I quit writing notes yesterday. APOC. I may be able to get this done with a Katana. Maybe. One backspin. 1.5 per ring. I'm going to do a 20% adjustment and just pull it over. I'll just pull it right back to the red line. Hit one ring right to the right. Probably in headwind I could use the half a backspin. If you got tailwind, one backspin's fine. I actually like where I'm at's not bad. I like to be that divot that's right in front of me, or that hole that's right in front of me. I like to be right on the ridge on the side that I'm on, so I'm not too far from where I actually like to hit. See where I'm at in my club. We'll see. 1.1 times whatever the wind is, divided by wherever the hell I'm at in my club. And I'm going to play, I think I have a Hornet in this bag, so I'm going to play it. I'm still undecided on the mid number. I'd really like to play it at 1.75, but I don't think it's hitting there. I actually don't really like playing with my Hornet like I used to. It got ruined when I upgraded it. I'm at Min Club. So it's 2.7 equals divided by 2. 1.48, 1.5 rings. See if I can hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. Way too fast. It was so fast that it blew through the brake. Need to see if I can set that up with one backspin, where that would put me. Now there is a rough bump that you can do right there, because if you try and go right at it, you're going to have to do a lot of backspin. My opponent yesterday took a thorn at it, and if you're going to go at it, a thorn works really good. It's got lots of backspin, and especially if you got an upper developed thorn, it's got a great ball guide, because then you can see where your tail's actually going on the pullback. You see how much movement's on this green though. It's all bumpy, hilly, downhill. There's a lot of movement. Lots. What I need is coffee. I think after this hole I'm gonna pause the video and go make some coffee. I've been working in my yard. It rained. It was super cold, rained. Went out and worked in the yard. Super cold, rained. All right, hold on. All right, I got coffee, I'm ready. And the temperature in the last 30 minutes has dropped 15 degrees, so I turned my heater on. Got cold. My wife opened the garage door and sucked what little bit of heat was in here out. Damn women. All right. Hole number 6. Hole number 6. What is hole number 6? All right. So yesterday, this is a hole that if you've got a bigger side spin ball, you can actually get down in this area. The way the wind's been blowing, you had to pull, I think the wind was blowing this way, and you had to pull over the sand, and it takes like a one ring jump. It's big enough that it's going to be hard to get your adjustment right if you got any kind of wind that's blowing over the sand. But if you get, and you've got to be kind of in this area in order to get a 3 side spin ball, because the flagpole's here now, in order to get it to the cup. But if you had a 4 side spin ball or one of those new or 5 side spin balls, you could start off in the flat down here and bring it around, and you're going to be able to work in any kind of wind. The deal is, with a 2 power ball, your red line is like right, I mean, you're right there with your red line, so you've got to make sure on your drive that you don't overshoot it. If you get out of here, you're taking that shot out. You really want to be in the shadow. And yesterday I was right on the edge of the shadow out here. I think Dunner was like right inside of the shadow. It makes this shot difficult, because if you're trying to get out here, you can get your second bounce way in front of the sand, and you pretty much take the sand out of play. But if we're really trying to hit into the shadow, your second bounce is going to be in this bowl, and this bowl is one of those things where you move it a little bit to the right and the tail goes to the left. You move it a little bit to the left and the tail goes to the right. So what happens there is, if you hit it great to the left or the right, you could end up way off, or you could end up in big trouble in that sand. My teammate, my buddy Mike D, he hates this hole because of that. Trying to do the shot that we're doing right here on the old direction, he liked to come at it from that side, just trying to hit up here into the shadow. It makes it a lot more difficult to get to that spot. So the other way you could go at this too, because I've been doing the rough bump, but there is another way that you could go at it. You can bring out, if you bring out, instead of bringing out a sniper, if you bring out a guardian, and probably a 3 power ball, so that you can start off on the other side with the pin placement that's here, you have a better shot at the doing a backspin. Because before, with the pin placement over here, you'd kind of have to extrapolate. You kind of have to think about where the arc was, and so your ball guide's pointing off in here with the backspin, and then you'd have to put curl on it, and so it was super inconsistent. You were always close to the hole, but it was super inconsistent. But where the pin placement is now, you may be able to bring out your guardian and start on this side, and when you do the backspin, you may be able to get it to walk to the cup a lot better than before. It's possible. It's possible. I'm going to take, and here's the deal. You really need the side spin. You really need the side spin. And this tournament, obviously, I think this tournament was sponsored by Katana. Titan, the king of balls, let Katana sponsor this tournament, because it's the Grand Parade, so it's like Katana. Yeah, that's the deal. What is the deal? I really would like to use my rock bag. I think the ball guide's the same, a little bit better ball guide with the, either one of those will work. I'm going to use my rock. I'm going to use the rock. the rock? Let's make sure that is a rock. It is. And a katana. Off we roll. I'm not sure with a 3-side spin ball. I might be able to get... I think I'm still going to have to be in front of the sand. And I think I'm still going to have to pull over it on the second shot. Where you'd really like to be is like right here. Then you'd have to try and get bounce number 1 on this fairway and bounce number 2 on that little bit of fairway that's between the sand and the rough, and then bounce over the sand and then end up in the shadow that way. That's kind of where you'd really like to be. And even that little bit of distance, they've hit it almost too far. Really like to be like up in that area. You'd have to put more side spin or more top spin on it in order to get your bounces so that they would be clear of it. That ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, I tell you. $2.9. I'm gonna do a 3-2. Hitting it perfect. That's where I'd really like to be. I'd really like to be on that other side where I was trying to get the top spin right so that you could just bleed off. That would be a tricky, you'd really want to make sure you got your wind adjustment right. Otherwise you could find your second bounce in the sand or the rough. And this wind will work out good for that. The deal is I'm not as far forward, so I may not have gotten enough distance for a power 2 ball. You may have to bring out a power 3 ball in order to have a little bit of room on the red line. And a power 2 ball won't work if you've got any headwind. You won't have enough room to work the wind out. We'd have to do overpower, and that kind of defeats the purpose. Let's see where my red line is. I do have a little bit of room. I'd really like to be like right up in that area, but I didn't get enough distance. I'm in the right spot. I'm in the spot that I wanted to get, but I'm not in the right spot that I wanted to get. Dang it. So I can get it off before I run out of time. Hitting it perfect. And I keep ending up behind the hole because I haven't been able to, I haven't been in the spot that I wanted, because part of the deal is if you had 4 side spin balls, this hole is going to be super makeable. And the last 3 times I played it with a katana, and a katana's not quite enough of a ball. You really need to bring a Kingmaker. If you're just playing with a 3 side spin ball, a Kingmaker will work fine. So I guess the new ball would work if we have tailwind, but it would be problematic if we have headwind. And I like that spot there in the shadows. I like the angle to it. Just didn't have enough ball. Which is too bad because I think that hole is super alveolable now. I've been dicking around with it. Partially in this account I've been dicking around with it because I don't have a lot of kingmakers to burn. Hole number 7. What is hole number 7? Hole number 7. I'm doing -10 to the cup. It seems like I keep over pulling it. And I'm trying to get right here. Now right here works. And right here works. Right here you're going to be, this should be a wood. You're going to be long iron out in this area and short iron up in this area. Dunner hit it over to here. Was trying to get over to here yesterday, but he got caught up. He just barely made it over the rough and was on the, and had a shot at it. But from over here, when you're looking at the green, it's flat. I mean, it's the pin's downhill, so you're going to have to go up off the green and then walk the tail back down to the cup, and it has a ton of movement. So if you hit it a little bit too fast or a little bit too slow, the ball's going to break. If it's slow, it's going to break faster. If it's too fast, it's going to skip through the break. And I think the shot from here is just straight to the cup. You're not involving any of that movement that's on the green. It's a straight up shot. But trying to get to this area right here, yesterday, in my opinion, I still had a shot at it, but I slightly overhit it. I really want to be just right here. If you draw the line from where the new pin's at to the tree, you know, this area right in here is, in my opinion, like the optimal area. Now you can start off over here with a bigger power ball and try and just walk yourself up to the point where you're right in front of the green. That is problematic. With this wind, we could do that. And I've been just trying to lay it up out there and go for the shot to go into it, because I'm trying to get the adjustment, like what adjustment would I make to the cup. Because if you get into a headwind, even with a bigger power ball, it can be difficult to get to the other side. But I'll take the shot with a power 3 ball and just try and go for it. And it really only takes like 1 or 2 topspin. And you got to hit it perfect, of course. If I do the shot over to the other side, you got to hit it perfect. You can maybe get a 1 ring great to the right, but anything great to the left, you're in trouble. And anything 2 rings great, you're definitely in trouble. And the left is problematic because then you're up by the trees or you're in the trees, and that's problematic. The pink dragons. DZ nuts. See if my opponent can get where they want to get. They too are bringing a power 3 ball. I think that's way too much topspin. Yeah, that might be. Now, if you're trying to go to the other side, it really only takes about 2 topspin. What if, dude, are you okay? Does that not look like it's just going to hit in the rough or the sand or the river? Yeah, dude, you need to put overpower on it. That's where it was, and you didn't put any overpower on it. It's not going to go. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you want to hit it over to the other side, you're going to have to put overpower on it. And it only takes just a little bit of topspin. Let's see where my bounces are. I don't even know if it takes that much topspin. Maybe 1. And with that wind, maybe just a half a topspin. Getting it perfect. Bounce number 1, bounce number 2, straight towards the cup. Now you can see if you're coming at it from this angle, you're going straight up this hill right to it, but you can see how much movement is on this green. So if you're hitting from this side over here, that my opponent and I are hitting from, you're going straight up to the cup, and you can avoid like having to, you know, your tail moving around when you're trying to get it to the cup. You can just go straight at it. But if you're coming at it from the other side, because we used to play this almost exclusively from the left-hand side, but I think the left-hand side with this pin placement is not the way to go anymore. That's just my opinion because of the pin placement. And I can tell you, in the past, I've been right on the green in one, right where the flagpole is now, and where the old pin was, you couldn't make the putt. And they're going to have a pretty, like, they'll have to do a lot of movement on their putt just to get it to the cup where it's at right now. It might not be too bad because they rolled. Yeah, they're still going to have a little bit of movement to get on that hill. This side of the green is rough. Let's see what it looks like with tail spin, or with top spin. See if I can top spin it up there. Hitting it perfect. In the hole. Now, if you're going for eagle on it, if you're playing with tailwind, you can go over there with a 3 power ball, but this is kind of like the first part, or the first par 5, hole number 3, or excuse me, hole number 1, where if you've got tailwind, it will carry you, because where I was at with max OP, I was just barely onto it. So like this is the plane where I was at. I had a 2.5 mile-an-hour wind, which is like a ring and 3/4, and I hit more in the front. So it was a good 2.5 rings. So that would be like 375. So it really carries when you have headwind. But the reverse is true when you have any kind, even if you had this kind of headwind, it will kill that ball. Kill it. So if you want to take this shot right here to be consistent, you know, a power 4 ball will always get you in the middle, and then you're going to need to take the wind out. But you're going to really need to watch the wind, because depending on which way the wind's blowing, it's really going to affect this. But you could probably standardize it if you brought out a power 4 or a power 5 ball every time, and just tried to get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and then roll up. But it doesn't take a lot of topspin, otherwise you'll roll. Here, if you wanted to get up on the green, you could probably put on 1.5, 2 topspin. But I don't necessarily know that I want to mess around with this green. There's so much movement that it could roll off this way, and then you could have a very difficult putt. I would rather just be right off the front and just chip it up, personally. All right, what's the next hole? What is the next hole? Hole number 8. This is the par 3. This is the par 3 that Dunner and I were out here yesterday, and we were jinking around on this, so we got up on it, and then we hit back to the tee box. We were actually trying to hit on the tee. I got behind the tee, and the tee was in my way, and I had to actually shoot it off to the side so that I could get around the freaking tee. But we did several on this, and nothing was working. Neither one of us were getting it to drop, and it was still doing the same thing where it seemed like it was taking an inconsistent bounce. So I'm going to start off on the left-hand edge of the cup, and I'm going to do a 40% wind adjustment. And I'm starting off, in the past, I've always kind of been like in this middle zone, like in this, and I was really trying to run it up to it to let it release, but you're involving this hill face. So my first bounce would be here, and then it would come up and engage the green on the uphill before it gets up here to where the flagpole was at. Trying to, you know, in this area. What I'm trying to do now is get up by this shadow, so that my first bounce is out here in the flat, down here at the bottom, and then my second bounce is up on the top, and I'm trying to avoid this entire hill. That's what I'm trying to do. And I didn't make any notes. We played this hole 50 times yesterday, No, we didn't play it 50 times. We probably took like 3 or 4 shots into the cup. Then Denner got tired of playing, so he made it. I think I can just take a nav. I can take a nav. Nothing special. Grizzly. And I believe I was just hitting it one per ring. I'm going to do a 35% wind adjustment. I'm not convinced that the 40 that I did yesterday was right. I started off, I did a 10 and I was way off, but I was aiming towards the cup, and then I started getting to the point where I thought it was like around 30%. I thought I was right. I upped it to 40, but then I went, it's always ending up on the right no matter what I do. So I'm going to start it off on the left-hand edge of the cup. And I'm just going to go with the flow because it wants to go that way. So what I'm trying to say is I have no freaking clue. I have no idea yet. I haven't figured it out. I haven't figured out what works for me. Of course, my wife just pulled back in, so she's going to open the garage door. So get ready for the noise. And Buster's barking. The dogs are going crazy. Who let the dogs out? And on that side of the cup, I'm going to push it forward just a little more because we got headwind. So it's 3.1, 4.2 rings. 4.2. There's 4.2. Hitting it perfect. Get in the hole. And I underpulled it doing the 35%. And I was on the left-hand edge of the cup. This hole's super inconsistent for me. I played this where we all feel like we've got the numbers right and we are getting drops, but it's not like it drops every time. This has always been my issue on this hole, is that by the time we get to the weekend round, I always feel comfortable with my wind adjustments, but it's like the hole plays inconsistent. Like there's some inconsistent bounce somewhere out there. Arrgh. All right. And we had the big fiasco yesterday on hole number 9. We went out and we practiced, and I think Denner got in the drink several times. He was using an APOC and a power 4 ball, and he was trying to do a max overpower hook. And I went out there with a big topper and a kingmaker, and the first time through, I think I was in the right spot, and we did the practice, and then we went out, and I, for some reason, I knew we were out there playing, but I thought we were still practicing, and I was on the green and he was in the water. And so I missed my putt. I putted off the green so that I could shoot it back to the area and I could practice the shot again. And he's like, "What are you doing, dude? We're playing." And I'm in the drink. You could have saved me. At least gave me the birdie because you were going to get an eagle. And I was like, "Oh shit, I thought we were still, I don't know. I went brain dead. I thought we were still practicing. Damn it." So I don't have, you can do this with you can do a kingmaker and an APOC. Let's see which way the wind's blowing. But the max overpower hook shot here, that wind works. That wind will work either way. You can do, I was using a big topper and a kingmaker. And I was demoing the max overpower hook shot yesterday. We'll see if I can get it to land again. And I actually had switched this because I wanted all of the top spin, and I couldn't get all of the side spin. So really, the 3 side spin ball will help you on the second shot, but on the first shot, I wasn't able to access all of it. We're going to do the max OP hook. And we were getting a lot of distance yesterday. We were getting so much distance on the second shot. On the first shot, I didn't have all the topspin on, and I ended up in the rough between this fairway and the next fairway. And then on the second shot, I made a slight adjustment so that I could get more in the shallowest part of the rough there. And I put on all of the topspin, but I missed it just a little. I pulled it out just a little, pulled it to the left just a little bit too far. Now, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, this shot right here sucked when the pin placement was where it was before. I thought it was a dangerous ass shot. The first shot's dangerous, and then the second shot you're hitting through the trees was dangerous. I've seen more people fail than I have people succeed, but where the pin is now, you are just relegating yourself to the best that you can get as an eagle. But if you hit to the left, you can give yourself a shot at Albie. Yeah, and they're sunk. Sunk. Oh shit. That's right. That's right. Okay, max top spin, and however much side spin I can still get on, about 1.5. And I'm going to come over here to the low tide mark and watch that water move out. I'm going to be about halfway in the low tide. This wind's going to affect me a little more than it did yesterday, because yesterday we actually had some forward wind. Let's see if I can catch that pad. Nope, in the drink. So now we'll switch to plan B, and I'll just hit it over there. That's the problem with the max overpower hook shot on that. With varying wind, you can get one wind where you can get it right, and then you can get a second wind where you don't get it right. So I'll just hit it over there with my APOC so that I can still get my birdie. And I still got a shot. I still have a shot at Albie. So no matter where I get over to the other side, I will have a shot at Albie. All right, make me play it this way. I gotcha. No, make me play it this way. I can do it. And it rolls off here. I do not want to hit right there at all. But I do need to put a little teeny bit of overpower on it. Not a lot, but a little. 4-3. Now I'm going to over pull it. There's 3 rings is 4-5, so that puts me a little bit into power to begin with. Max curl, a little bit of overpower. Hitting it perfect. And I will have a shot for Albie there. It would have been better if I could have stayed in the fairway, but I will have a shot at Albie. If you bring out a power 5 ball and you got a big topper, you can hit off the top of that hill with a big topper. A big topper's got so much curl in it and topspin. And we won't have a great look at Albie because we're going to have to put curl on it. We were playing in the practice round yesterday, and Dunner got an Albie. He got an Albie, he had curl on it, he had all kinds of movement on the ball, and ended up getting an Albie. And then we went into the actual round, which I thought was still the practice round for whatever dumbass reason, and ends up getting a par. But I screwed him bad on that, which is my fault completely, because he would have made the round with a -13. even with the, or minus 12, even with the drop shot. But because I screwed up, then he came in with an 11, and I don't think he made, in that account, I don't think he made the weekend round, which is bad. That's my fault. My bad. $3.9 Max Club. It's about 2 per ring. There's 2. A little. Max Curl. 1 ring great on the inside, 1 ring great to the right. Close but no cigar. I wish my opponent would have made the drive, his first drive, and been in the spot over there just so that you could see what it looks like, because there's no shot at all now. Before you could get through the bottom parts of the tree, there was a spot that if you hit it just right, you could get it to go through the trees and bleed out on the other side. But I saw more people than not get stuck in the rough. But there is no shot, and you could actually get it to go towards the cup, and you had a shot at Albie. But where the pin is now, there's no shot at Albie. Birdie. All right, that was a good practice round. Got a little bit of timing great. I can go back and watch the video and see which way the wind was blowing. Now the lowest round I've seen for 9, I haven't really looked up at the top to see where everybody's at because everybody's still playing, but the lowest 9-hole round I've seen was minus 16. And I really think in the weekend round, like as we get going, you're going to need to pick up at least 2 per side to shoot the minus 14 per side, so it's minus 28. But I think as we get closer, as we get to the weekend round, you're really going to have to be, you know, minus 28 is going to get you maybe, depending on your bracket, up in the top 10, top 15. But in order to break through, you're going to have to pick up 2 per side and then at least 1. But in most brackets, you're probably going to have to shoot a 30 in order to get a win. In most brackets. Let's see what's up at the top right now. So we got 28 up at the top. We got everybody still left to play. I mean, there's tons of people left to play, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I really think as everybody starts to finish their round, we're going to see somebody's going to be higher than 28 for sure. And 28s are probably going to dominate the top 15. All right, that was the front. Now, how did I shoot a 13? I thought I shot a 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I guess I did shoot a 13. How did I shoot a 13? I dropped one and I picked one up. I dropped one and I picked one up. Oh, I did pick up 2. I made the mid par 4 as well. That's how I shot a 13. Why did it show me a 12 when I came out of the hole? What a deal. All right, there you go. That's the opening front side. I'll post this video and then I'll shoot another one for the back. Just wanted to get some practice in. Dunner and I are going to play tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, as soon as he gets back, it'll probably be 4 or 5 o'clock my time, West Coast time, Pacific Standard Time. He's somewhere, I think he's on East Coast time. He's on Eastern. So we will play our round tomorrow, but I just wanted to get at least one more round in so that I have some good notes for tomorrow so we can get out there at it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have a good time.